What's up everyone, my name is Teresa and welcome to Curl Trek. If you're a returning viewer, thank you so much for coming back. And if you are new, come in, stick around. Make sure you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss the next video. In today's video, I'm going to be showing you 3 tips on how to control and prevent frizz. So if you want the scoop on how I prevent frizz, then stick around. Lorraine Massey, the founder of the Curly Girl method, has a quote that is very famous. And she says that frizz is just a curl waiting to happen. You've just got to get that hair to clump together to create that definition and you won't get the frizz. Tip number 1. Avoid products that contain humectants in the first 5 ingredients when you read the ingredients label. On any product's label, the ingredients are listed by quantity. So the first ingredient is what is the majority of the product is made of. The second ingredient is the next most abundant, and so forth. This is not only true for hair products, but food products as well when you read any label. Some examples of humectants are honey, aloe vera. The number 1 humectant used in most hair products and beauty products, hands down, is glycerin. Glycerin is a clear, sticky, viscous liquid. It's found in hair creams, hair gels, shampoos, conditioners, moisturizers, deep treatment masks, face masks, makeup, and the list goes on and on and on. If you want to avoid it, you've got to get in the habit of reading your product labels and know what's in your products. What does a humectant like glycerin do, you might ask? Humectants are used to keep things moist as the most basic definition. So in hair products, for example, they attract moisture from the air to your hair. There are tiny, tiny water particles floating around in the air. That's whatever the humidity is where you are. The humectants grab onto those water particles and bind to them to help keep moisture in your hair. Not only does it get water from the air, but it also gets it from your skin and your body as well. So what does that mean? That means that if you get hot, if you get sweaty, that humectant is going to grab onto that sweat and potentially ruin your hairstyle. You might get something like this. If you live somewhere like Colorado or Arizona, you're good to go. You can use glycerin all day, every day. It's not going to ruin your hairstyle. There's so little water in the air that it's not going to be enough to frizz you out, but it'll still help keep your hair moisturized. However, if you live somewhere like Florida, for example, and even sometimes here in Southern California, it gets really humid. That can mean disaster for your hair if you're using a product that is humectant heavy. Of course, while many of these products might contain a humectant in the first 5 ingredients, a lot of them also contain ingredients that are used to help fight the potential frizz that you get. So they help combat that frizz and provide more hold. That's why you can have gels, for example, that have glycerin in the top 5 ingredients, but they still provide really good hold because other ingredients further down the list are strong enough to provide a cast and a crunch. Which brings me to my next tip. Tip number 2. Use a gel. Yes, a gel. Now, I know some of you are thinking, I don't want to use a gel because I don't want crunchy hair. Guess what, folks? They make gels that have hold but no crunch. Examples like Diva Curl, the Diva Curl Light Defining Gel. It has glycerin in the top 5 ingredients, but it'll provide a better hold for you than just using a cream, for example, because it has other ingredients that help keep that hold going. It's a really light gel, so you're not going to get the same potential for frizz fighting from that gel than you would get with a heavier gel. But it still works better than just a cream by itself. The reason you want to use a gel is because it provides a cast. And a cast also is what people call the crunch. You don't have to leave your hair like this. You scrunch it out after it's completely dry and it softens that cast, but you still have the hold and the definition, just a softer curl or wave. Another example of a light watery gel are the Curl Mix gels. They have a flaxseed gel, and these gels provide a little bit of cast, but they're really easily scrunched out. Then there are gels that will absolutely create a strong crunch or cast. Some examples of this are the Eco Styler gels or the Wetline Extreme gels. They create a lot of hold. They're really heavy gels. So if you have really kinky hair, they usually work pretty well because they help to clump the hair together to create definition. If you have like type 3 hair like myself, it will weigh down my curls, so my curls will be a little bit elongated. But you can still scrunch them out to have softer, fluffier hair. It's all trial and error, folks. Keep that in mind. Everything is trial and error. You have to see what works for your hair because your hair is different than every other person on the face of the planet, right? So one combination of products might work for me or for someone else and not for you, or it might work for you and not for me. What's the worst that can happen? You know, you waste a little bit of time, but really it's not time wasted because you figured out if it worked or not, and you can move forward from there. The number one thing you have to remember is wait until it is 100% dry before you scrunch it, before you manipulate it, or do anything. Wait until your hair is dry. You need to let your hair set, because if you start messing with it before it's set, then you have the potential to cause frizz. The gel is going to stick to your fingers if it's a sticky gel and pull away at the strands, and you don't want that. And this brings me to my very last tip, tip number 3. And it has to do with the drying process. Air drying is ideal if you can keep your hands out of your hair. Just let it be and let it dry. The alternative to air drying, if you don't want to walk around for hours with wet hair, is to diffuse. Some people have really, really thick hair that will take 2 days to dry, and other people have thinner, finer hair and it'll just take them a couple hours. Depends on the product you use. If you use more products, heavier products, you have more water in your hair, obviously it's going to take longer. If you use lighter products and your hair is just barely damp, then it will dry much faster. Common sense. The reason air drying is preferable to diffusing if you can keep your hands out of your hair is because your hair is just not getting manipulated. It's not getting blown around or anything like that like it is with a blow dryer. But there is a way to diffuse your hair and decrease the chances of creating a lot of frizz. The first is to diffuse on cool. Many diffusers have at least a cool shot button, and you can hold down that button and just cool air will come out, so you won't put any heat on your hair. Some diffusers, like mine, have a cool setting, so I don't have to hold my finger on the button. I could just click it to cool, high speed, and go to town, and I'm good to go. Cool air helps to keep the frizz down, but it takes much, much longer. So with my hair, for example, I can diffuse on cool, but it'll take me an hour to an hour and a half to completely dry my hair. If I diffuse on warm or medium heat, then I can diffuse within 15 minutes and my hair is dry. Big difference. If I diffuse my hair on cool, I stick in some earphones and I watch a movie while I'm doing it, because why not? I want to be distracted. The method you want to do when diffusing, whether you use low, fan speed, or high, is to manipulate your hair as little as possible. So when you first start diffusing, don't move your hair around a lot. Just keep it in one place for a few seconds and then move on to the next spot and continue. As your hair gets more dry, you can move it more. Maybe gently flip your hair to the side and dry that part to create a little bit more volume and get the underside, and continue. The key is to be gentle with it until it's completely dry. Now, depending on the cut, texture, shape, and length of your hair, you have to try it out and see what works for you. It takes practice, but once you figure it out, it's like a light bulb. My diffusing method has changed as my hair has gotten longer. I'm growing it out basically from a buzz cut. And when it was only a few inches long, I couldn't flip it and do all that stuff because my curls would come out wonky. I needed to dry them in the position that they were going to sit for the style. Now that I have some length to my hair, I can flip it to the side, flip it upside down, do all that stuff because it has more weight to it, so the curls don't turn out wonky. And those are my top 3 tips for avoiding, controlling, and preventing frizz in your hair. Let me know if you have any questions in the comments down below, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.